Hello there everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Botox Games. So this morning, as you all probably know by now, a Nintendo Direct was announced. It was announced at 5:30 in the morning through the Nintendo Today app, and I've been preparing my video, getting ready to talk about this like it's any other Direct. However, at 6 a.m., just a couple of minutes ago, Nintendo of America tweeted out the information on how long this Nintendo Direct will be. So not only are we getting a Nintendo Direct this Friday, shout out to Switchforce, he was totally right about this, gotta give him props where props are due. We are getting a 60-minute Nintendo Direct at 6 a.m. on September 12th. Now, for those that maybe don't keep up or don't remember the timing or lengths of every Nintendo Direct, that makes it the longest Nintendo Direct that we have ever had. That makes it one of the longest Nintendo presentations we have had since the E3 days. This is clearly going to be a very, very big presentation for Nintendo. It is the first general Direct of the Switch 2 era, and it being 60 minutes, they're not segmenting this off and saying, okay, there's going to be an entire Mario Direct segment for the anniversary. This is going to be a big Direct. So today we're going to talk about just what we might see in that, go over some rumors and teases we have seen, and also just speculate, because 60 minutes, that's not what I was expecting. I was expecting this to be pretty standard fare, 40, 45-minute Nintendo Direct. No, we are getting a 60 minutes behemoth of a Nintendo Direct in just 2 days, which is so exciting. So if you are new here and you enjoy Nintendo Direct speculation, theories, discussion, all that fun stuff, I would appreciate you liking the video and subscribing, and let me know your #1 wish for this Nintendo Direct in the comments down below. I would love to see what you all are thinking down there. Now, we do have some rumors and teases from some insiders to talk about regarding like a Pokemon spinoff and a few other things, but the first thing I want to do is just talk about the length of this Nintendo Direct. So there has been a very long Nintendo Direct recently. Back in just April, we did get an hour-long presentation to reveal the Nintendo Switch 2. However, this is a very different presentation because, well, they had to announce the console. A lot of this, in fact, over almost 20 minutes of this Nintendo Direct was them showing off the console, showing off the screen and the Joy-Con and explaining what the differences are of this console versus the Switch 1. They don't have to do that this time, which means this should be a much more action-packed, all killer, no filler showcase than even in April, and I think a lot of people would already agree April was a very good presentation. It's not quite the standard Direct format. They had these, talking heads from all these third-party developers speaking, but if we are getting a 60-minute Direct that doesn't have to go over that much hardware, unless they have something we don't know about to announce in this thing, that is really crazy. I'm excited to see what the split will end up being. Now, if you missed my video a couple of days ago, I don't think it's a coincidence they're doing this Direct on Friday. It'll almost be the anniversary of Super Mario Bros. In Japan when it's airing on Friday morning for us. So I think it's pretty safe to say there's going to be a sizable chunk of Mario in this presentation. Now, I'm going to do an entire predictions video tomorrow, like my actual, here's what I expect to see in this thing tomorrow. But I would say if this is a 60-minute showcase, maybe 40, 45 minutes of Switch 1 and Switch 2 games, third-party games, a couple other first-party announcements and release dates like Metroid Prime 4 Beyond and Hyrule Warriors, Splatoon Raiders, some other things, Switch 2 upgrades, whatever. And then 15 to 20 minutes of just Mario at the end, I think is pretty likely, actually. They're not doing a separate Mario anniversary Direct this time around like they did for the 35th anniversary, but I can't really think of any other reason why this would be a full hour. I mean, it would be incredible if they don't do that and we get all these Mario announcements, but they're just kind of sprinkled throughout. We don't have an entire okay, the last 20 minutes of this thing is going to be Mario, because that I feel like would kind of be weird with the pacing of everything. But either way, I think it's pretty safe to assume we are getting a blowout of Mario information in this Direct. I'm talking Mario movie news. I'm talking Mario Wonder and Mario Maker Switch 2 editions. At least one of those will pop up here. Probably a Mario sports game. Maybe Mario Kart DLC could finally pop up here. Some Donkey Kong style expansion for that game. Of course, the tease for the next 3D Mario might be a little early to say right now, but I think we're going to get quite a bit of Mario in this presentation, which is so exciting. I feel like, last year we had a lot of Mario games, and this year we've been fed pretty well with Mario Kart World and even Bonanza, but we have been waiting for so many different Mario things all to happen at once. The movie is something especially that I feel like they need to say something concrete on, because a trailer should be coming out within the next couple of weeks. So that's kind of my first expectation, is that, this is an hour-long Direct. I think there's going to be a lot of Mario stuff in this showcase. But let's go ahead and get into some of these rumors and teases that we've seen over the past couple of days. Okay, so first things first, and I think everybody is in agreement this game literally has to be here with a concrete release date, but Necro Felipe over on Twitter noted the other day that Metroid Prime 4 Beyond has been rated for release in Brazil. So we've seen over the past couple of months, it was rated, I think, in South Korea. And then even as recent as I think just a few weeks ago, we had it rated by the ESRB for release in America. Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, if this game does not show up in this Nintendo Direct, I don't know what to make of that. So I'm like pretty confident. The question is, how much of a presence will it actually have? Is this going to open or close the Direct? Is this going to be somewhere in the middle, maybe just the headline? Do they really even have that much more to show beyond just a release date? I would love for this game to have what is essentially the final hype kind of launch trailer if it is coming out within the next couple of months, which it should be, where they, they have that hype trailer where they show bosses and stuff, but then also maybe they announce like a Switch 2 Pro controller or something, or like a special edition Switch 2, maybe a little too soon for that. So really a Pro controller and Amiibo would be cool to see announced for this game. But other than that, and a release date, obviously, I don't have the like highest expectations of like what I want to see from Prime 4. I'm just kind of here for the ride. I really want to see that release date and then maybe some accessories, unless there's a multiplayer mode. I'm always pushing for multiplayer mode for this game. I don't think that's going to happen, but that would be a very pleasant surprise. This also popped up a couple of days ago. I didn't make a full video on it because I wasn't really sure what to make of it. So Central Leaks posted here, rumor according to KU or KHU, something new from Pokemon that is not Legends EA will be announced this month. If true, it will likely be announced during this week's Nintendo Direct because obviously, it was a pretty open secret that there would be a Direct this week. KU said, by the way, something new, not Ikaku. So I'm pretty sure Ikaku's the Legends EA codename, soon in September. Neko Replay replied, it will. Someone replied, I wonder if they're already going to start hyping up Gen 10, maybe just showing the initials like they did with Gen 9, and Necro Felipe said spin-off. So this, I wonder about this. Now, I have been beaten down by Pokemon and spin-offs so much over the past several years. I mean, even just back in July, we had like teases of like, oh, there's going to be a new spin-off announced for consoles in the July Pokemon Presents. And what did it end up being? It was Pokemon Friends, maybe the worst Pokemon game that has ever graced a Nintendo console. So for this, I'm just like, well, what is this going to be? Is it possible they're just teasing the release date or maybe even shadow drop of Pokemon Coliseum and Gale of Darkness on Switch Online? I think that'd be a really lame thing to tease, as excited as I am for those games to come back and be on Switch Online. That, I'm going to lean towards that. I'm just going to go into this Direct expecting like, okay, September, we don't know what the big NSO drop is going to be. We had Forsaken 64, but we don't know what the GameCube game is. I think it's pretty safe to assume that Luigi's Mansion will be the October game. So maybe September, they shadow drop Coliseum and Gale of Darkness, and that's what they're teasing here. Or maybe it is something new entirely. I mean, I would love a proper new console spin-off Pokemon game, be that even Mystery Dungeon, which I don't love, but, even something on that caliber, I'll take at this point, but really like a new Pokken Tournaments or a Ranger game or Pokemon Conquest. Like, give me something on that scale. Even Pokemon Snap. I didn't love a new Pokemon Snap either, but give us something like that again, please, Pokemon Company, please, Nintendo. And that'd be really cool, Even like a Rumble game. I'm a defender of the Rumble Pokemon games. If we could get something like that on Switch 2, I guess they could release it on Switch 1 also, sure, why not? But I do kind of miss the days of like, well, at least for the 3DS, I remember before we got Generation 6, X and Y, we had Pokemon Rumble Blast, we had like some of the, Dream Radar and things like that on the eShop. I miss like getting a little sneak preview of Pokemon on the next console with a spin-off, and then getting the next mainline entry on that console. This is different, obviously, because we're getting Legends ZA, which is a mainline game, just next month on Switch 2. But I do kind of miss those days of, like, just spin-offs kind of preceding the mainline release on a new generation. I don't know if that makes sense. So we will see if this amounts to anything. I am going to go into it expecting that they're just teasing NSO drops, and, I mean, that's kind of a hard thing to mess up in terms of a prediction, but I hope it is something new. I hope it is something like actually new, it's a new release, even a remake or something that maybe releases early next year, right? I mean, we're due for Mystery Dungeon. I feel like that is maybe the most likely, if it's not just NSO drops, maybe Mystery Dungeon could finally pop up with like a remake of Sky or something, would be pretty cool. I didn't love the last remake they did, but I would take that over more free-to-play garbage. All right, now trademarks almost never mean or amount to anything. Nintendo's always filing new trademarks, renewing trademarks for certain properties, certain franchises, just to keep, ownership of them, obviously. But we had a couple of trademarks pop up in the past, like 48 hours specifically, that I did want to highlight just because the proximity to a September Direct I thought is a little suspicious. These likely don't mean anything, but I would love for all of these things to happen. So first things first, Stealth 40K on Twitter said Nintendo recently requested new trademarks for Earthbound, Super Mario Galaxy, and Astral Chain. And as you can see down here, yeah, they filed trademarks for all three of those games. We also saw them file new trademarks for Tomodachi Life, as well as Magical Star Sign. That's a DS game that you probably have not heard of, but very niche DS era RPG from Nintendo. So we have 5 trademarks all kind of popping up at once for renewal. I wonder if any of these things could pop up in this Nintendo Direct. Astral Chain is the one that I am hoping against hope for, even just a Switch 2 edition of that game, or really just a Switch patch, or a Switch 2 patch, I should say, that gets that game running at even, 1080 60, but even, 1440 60 would be incredible. Astral Chain is one of my favorite Switch 1 exclusives. I think that game is severely underrated. I think it is Platinum Games' if not their best game, like their second best game, it's up there for them. So maybe they're working on that. They don't have much going on right now. They're helping Koei Tecmo with Ninja Gaiden 4. Maybe they've been cooking a Switch 2 edition of that behind the scenes, or ideally a sequel, but I feel like that might be a little too lofty. Mario Galaxy is funny because, well, we're talking a lot about Mario Anniversary. Are we going to see the return of 3D All-Stars? I actually think it's not that unlikely. I think we could see maybe just like Galaxy 1 and 2 repackaged or like remastered or something, and they don't do 3D All-Stars, but they kind of do because we already have 64 and Sunshine on the Switch Online now, or we're getting Sunshine, of course. Maybe they just sell Galaxy and Galaxy 2 separately. I'm not too sure. Earthbound's, I think we'll get a remake of Earthbound eventually, but I don't know if now's the time. That would be really cool. And then Magical Star Sign and Tomodachi Life. Tomodachi Life we should be seeing in this. Hopefully we get a release date for early next year for Living the Dream. And then Magical Star Sign, something I love about Nintendo is how they're always just randomly bringing back old franchises that no one really cares about, or, people aren't really yearning for. Like we saw with Another Code. I love Another Code and Trace Memory, but no one was really like putting those on their prediction lists, right? Of like, oh, we're going to get a new Famicom Detective Club. No, of course, no one thought that. That would be preposterous. Magical Star Sign kind of fits that mold of like, well, I don't think anybody really is asking for one, but like, why not though? Why not go ahead and give us a re-release of that? Probably not. These trademarks will likely amount to nothing, but it is something kind of just fun to speculate on and kind of talk about before what is going to be, our longest direct ever. Maybe we will see some of these just random games pop up in this Nintendo Direct. So this is purely fun. I'm not actually reading into this, but I did note on Twitter the other day. So they added Golden Sun: The Lost Ages music to Nintendo Music. The full OST is on there now. And I said foreshadowing the Golden Sun remake we're getting announced later this week. Similar to Magical Star Sign, except not really because the Golden Sun's way more well-known. Golden Sun, I feel like it's a matter of time. I don't know if Camelot will do it. I don't know if maybe the team that did like that Star Ocean 2 remake will do this or something, but we are going to get a Golden Sun reboot or remake. I'm pretty confident that we will see that. Honestly, I would say within the next 2 or 3 years. That feels like something that just kind of has to happen. This is a storied franchise that people really loved. There's 3 entries. There's so much nostalgia for it. Nintendo hasn't forgotten about Golden Sun. They still do stuff like this. They put the games on Switch Online. I think a Golden Sun revival, maybe not in this direct in particular, but a Golden Sun remake is going to happen soon. So I just wanted to include this, put some hopium out there for all my fellow Golden Sun fans that maybe we could see something pop up this week. But with that said, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. What are you expecting to see from this behemoth of a Nintendo Direct? 60 minutes. I'm still kind of in shock that we're getting a direct that's long, to be honest. So let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. What do you want to see from this thing? But also stay tuned for tomorrow. I'm going to upload my proper predictions where I try to like space out, okay, here's the opener, here's the closer, here's the, first party announcements, here's the third party announcements. I'm going to try to predict as much as I can that'll actually pop up in this Nintendo Direct. So definitely stay tuned to the channel for that. Follow me on Twitter at BoTalksGames. Check out my Nintendo collecting channel at It's Amiibo. And until next time, folks, peace.